Today we are going to take our game to the next level by randomizing it and adding interactive elements like buttons and drag features. Right now our game is functional, but it feels like a static image. Currently every object has a clean state and dirty state, and it switches between them. But there is nothing new, there is nothing random about it. To fix this static nature, we will introduce random dirty objects that can appear in random places and maybe even at random times. I'm gonna call it daily trash. Before we start coding and doing crazy stuff, we need to open the Photoshop and create trash assets. Here is the crumbled paper I created. I will rotate and create a variation of it, and later I will swap those variation with USB cable or something. But now let's just go back to Godot and start coding. Alright, so now it's time to add the final core element of the game, daily trash. There are two main things that I need to figure out. The first of all, drag feature. So to clean any object, I want the user to drag that object out of the screen. And secondly, randomness. I want, someday paper to come up on the screen, someday earphone, or someday USB cable. I want random objects to appear as well as randomly placed on the table. Giving them fixed position is simple because I have to just change their visibility every 24 hours, but that will not help me learn anything. So I'm gonna go for more dynamic, random position and draggable feature. Okay, it took longer than it needed. It is still easy, but I had to create scenes for every single paper. Anyways, I know it's little bit too random right now, paper can't be floating, but it's a easy fix. The real challenge starts now, that is dragging, because I couldn't find any drag and drop feature in the Godot, so I don't really know how to do this.
Eventually,
So I'm done adding that drag to clean feature. So let me try to explain the code. First of all, we have a variable called is dragging, and it's set to false, and we also have a threshold of 50 pixels. Now in the input function, first of all, we detect the touch, and we have like a 50 pixel radius. So the object, the paper is really small, so clicking it is really difficult. So we have like a radius of 50 pixels, so you can just click near the object and it will still count as a touch. Now when you touch the object, is dragging becomes true, and it is constantly changing the dragging start position. And when you lift your finger, it basically checks that the new position of the object is exceeding the threshold or not. If it is exceeding the threshold, it will basically free the queue, and it will set the is dragging to false. So let me show you. So when we drag the object above 50 pixel, it will free the queue. But if we do not exceed that threshold, if we do not exceed this threshold of 50 pixels, it shouldn't free the queue. So you can see I'm slowly dragging, lifting, dragging, lifting, dragging, lifting, and we can just keep moving it. Now this line basically shows you the animation. So if you play the scene and you see, if I drag, yeah, this animation is thanks to this code. Now one more thing, that these codes are embedded or attached to the object, and we need these objects on the screen to make these things work. So if there is no object on the screen, these things are useless. So how am I making these objects appear on the screen? Well, nice question. I should answer that. So basically we have this weird code with weird name that I don't want to say it. So I'm gonna just call it R end. It still sounds bad. Ri, yeah, I'm gonna call Ri. Basically every single object have its own scene, and we are preloading those scenes. I have also created soda can. Where are they? Okay, yeah, so I have also added this thing to the game. I will be adding more. I have some weird ideas like fake eyeballs and stuff like that. And we are basically creating random instances of those scenes in our main game, which is this one. So basically this thing is the instance of the main object. Now the code that we are using to create those instances are Simple. First of all, we are picking a random object. So someday it will be soda, someday it will be kagaj 4, someday it will be kagaj 2, someday it will be kagaj 1. So it will be random. And we are doing that randomization using this kind variable. And we are creating an instance of it. We are setting boundaries for the instance. So the object only appears on the table and not levitating. Next is time to add buttons. I will be creating one button, but you are free to create different button states like pressed, hover or idle. I'm not going to because I will be creating them in future when I actually work on the UI of the game, but you can create them now because we will see the option to upload. I actually want the button to look something similar to the original keyboard I had. I have made the buttons. Now it's time to add it to Godot. Let's just add it here. I know the outline looks weird. Size of the button looks fine, so I'm just gonna take some time and do a little bit of editing and a little bit of coding. So I will be back. So let's play the game and let's see if button is working or not. It should appear. Okay. Escape. Let's click on this escape button. If this escape button disappears, that means the scene has been changed. Okay, here you can also see the first scene was flu and the second scene is node 2D, which is the name of my game scene. Now if you are wondering how I added this texture to the button, well, there is a node called texture button. Okay, and it works same as normal button. Here you can see every signal that normal button sends. This button also have that, so I think I'm using pressed signal. And in the inspect we can just load a texture here. So this is the texture button. We can just load it here, and then we in the signal tab we connect it to button controller connect, and there is the function. We can just get tree dot change scene file to node 2D. We can play the function, and if I click, it changes the scene. Also, there is a delay when the escape button comes. What was that error? Okay, it's like a 3-second delay, you can see. And this delay is thanks to this timer. Basically, this timer is set to 4 seconds. By default, the skip button visibility is set to false and the timer starts. And when the timer runs out, the skip button visibility will be set to true and timer stops, so it doesn't loop. That's it. I love how simple programming can be sometimes.